Vamos lá, videozinho dos
After a
dev.
weapon that shoots bees? Thanks, I like bees.
I'm curious, like this person must have like a camera in our office because like we've been talking about this feature for so long. It's like, it's literally at the top
Uma
of our feature list.
arma que atira a abelha tem de ir, mano. Né? Tá querendo trazer um Summoner pro New World? Vamos lá. Vamos falar dos artefatos e das runas.
First, I gotta ask, whose birthday is it today?
I don't know. Happy birthday, KDK.
Thanks, everybody.
Não, a distribuição de ponto não tá bugada, que tem a maestria agora, Monster.
Everybody's in timeout.
Okay, well, now that we have that context, let's go into the other questions.
Can't believe Chuck didn't sing, just saying. He's back in the back.
Can we expect new artifacts in Heartrune in upcoming events and updates?
Well, good news here. We will definitely be introducing more artifacts each season. We'll be tying them to new content or events that come out. Heartrunes, as we've discussed in the past, we are going to...
Bom, galera, é o que eu já venho falando pra vocês há um bom tempo, tá? Que a expansão não lançou inteira ainda, que vai ser lançada as expansões nessa temporada, que vai vir mais artefato, e acabou de confirmar o que eu tinha falado pra vocês. Cada temporada vai lançar mais artefato, e mais artefato, e mais artefato, tá, mano?
Slow down on those. I think we sort of hit critical mass there, and I don't think we're going to have them sort of come out every season anymore.
All right, well, when will the transfers open up so I can go play with my friends who just came back?
Yeah, so we review the active users on those populated worlds every day, and we're watching to see when that reduces, when we can open those up. So I can't give you an exact time, but I can say that's something.
Aqui estão falando que já estão abrindo transferência, no SA já abriu transferência para todo o servidor, para quem quer dar transferência pro Deva Louca ou pro Fênix, aí só não pode o Artorias, porque o Artorias é fresh, tá, gente? Gente, eu recomendo você criar personagem no Deva ou dar transferência pro Deva logo, porque muita gente tá fazendo isso e tá fechando. E pode fechar de novo o Deva Louca, tá, mano? A Jonah tirou a informação da bunda e deu certo. Cara, é o Jonah. Minha bunda é boa. Não que... Vamos no vídeo, vai.
Plans to rework or remove the debuff resilience on mutations 2 or 3, reducing mutation levels and removing Ward's Banes, then artificially adding difficulty to a 5-man encounter by requiring certain builds for weekend Ren, pretty much puts us back to square one for gear checks, and it removes a cool debuff exclusive to the Sandworm, which works a lot better since there's 20 people to work with. The bosses in mutations also have a base empowered level, so they're already still extremely dangerous, even if you hit this theoretical weekend cap after resilience is taken into account.
Can you repeat that?
Uma pergunta grande, essa foi uma pergunta grande. Vamos ver.
We've been taking a look at the data. M2 mutations
Não, Mustache.
very high win rate. I think we're seeing people do them pretty easily. I've pugged a few and made it through pretty easily. Obviously, it's even easier with the company. So I think, no real changes there. No plan changes. Let me try that there.
Por enquanto eles estão falando que não tem um pouco mudanças ainda para as mutações, tá, mano? Por enquanto que eles acabaram de mudar ela, eles estão esperando vir os dados certinho para eles poder dar uma equilibrada, bufada, porque como foi diminuição de dano do encantado, aumento de vida, de saúde, eles ainda precisam dar uma corrigida na mutação, em termos de buffar e nerfar, tá, gente?
I think it spurs, diverse builds. It brings in different types of weapons to get the different status effects. So no immediate changes planned. And I think, M3 is going to be something that's going to be harder to do with pugs. And I think that's an understood thing. The good thing is the rewards from M2 get you just about everything that an M3 can in terms of gear score. You can still hit 700. It's just a different percentage. So I think it's okay that the M3s are very hard.
I think you need that difficult content.
O pessoal tá falando que a Dungeon M3 é pra ser um pouco difícil mesmo.
Worm raid from season 2, or at least make the Devourer Heartrune obtainable through other methods.
So no changes to the difficulty planned here. We released it intentionally very hard. And our thinking is that as people
O
sort of
pessoal tava querendo que nerfasse, tivesse jeito mais fácil de conseguir a runa do verme, mas ainda não tem, gente. Ainda tem que fazer o verme. Porém, a runa do verme, vou ser sincero, é inútil por enquanto, tá, mano? Ela não serve pra nada. Se ela não receber um buff, né?
All right. Okay, this one I've seen a lot. When will we get a fix for the tent trolls that people keep posting up over the top of the quest? Makes it very hard to play the game when people are constantly doing it.
Yeah, so...
Well, you're going to take
No, you go ahead.
Because I was going to say how I find the term trolls offensive. Actually, not just the term trolls, but the actual trolling is even more offensive.
Yeah.
Here's a hint on when we recorded this. Yesterday. It was fixed yesterday and released yesterday. So it's...
Galera, aqui o pessoal tava reclamando do pessoal que coloca a barraca em cima do NPC, tal, já foi consertado isso. E o cara tava xingando. Mas, pô, isso é normal, acontece. Quem não vivia em cima da montaria no World of Warcraft do NPC pro cara não conseguir acessar o NPC? Faz parte do MMORPG, né, mano?
Yep. What that guy said.
By the time you watch this, it will be fixed.
Yes.
I just wanted to get one answer in the whole show. You guys have been taking everything.
So it's a done thing.
It was in the release. It was in the minor that came out on the 17th.
Done deal. Okay. Do you have any plans to revisit the Sandworm raid and upscale it to make it relevant again? In Season 4, you're introducing mutated seasonal trials. Would be nice to see a mutated elite Sandworm trial as well.
It's an interesting question, especially since the previous one.
Can I just hop in before you answer? If you ever wonder why we don't listen to your feedback, because everything's about half of the people want it one way, and it's like 49-51 quite often, and this is another one of those examples.
It is a good juxtaposition, though, because we often see...
Que nem agora eles estão falando que uns pediu NERF no minhocão, certo? E agora outro cara pediu buff no minhocão. Então, eu acho que eles têm que fazer dois jeitos, um mais fraco e uns mais difícil, com recompensas melhores, tá? Igual tem no World of Warcraft, raid normal, heróica, mítica. Eu acho que eles poderiam trazer isso pro New World também.
See this where a good percentage of the player base, and we'll call you casuals, you want to take part in these modes, and we totally understand that. But there's also these really dedicated players that want this really difficult content, and so we don't want to leave them out.
Well, I would also not just casuals, because you can play the game a lot and not be as good as other people, and I think we'll see about that. But I think it's like all play style. We should respect all play styles and try to support them. And it's easy to kind of get like, well, that's what they want. That's what they want. Our job is to try to find that balance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go ahead, Dave.
Wait, and I think we did that with Expeditions, right? When we introduced Season 3, we now have what we're calling like the story mode, which is for everybody. So you can take part, and then the mutations are for the harder stuff. So that's an example of us listening to player feedback.
I think the answer is sort of the same as the past question. No plan changes here. I think, we think it'll get a little bit easier as people gear up, and then in the far future, we may consider up-leveling this, but that's going to be many seasons from now.
As a streamer of only New World, what, if anything, will you do to anticipate an influx of people for future releases? Queuing for hours before you can play makes it hard to stream at my available time.
Yeah, so we have this mechanism. So firstly, this was introduced with Brimstone Sands, which was we have a latent character system where if you haven't played the game in over 180 days, you're moved off of your
Aí, ó,
world. So that
como eu tinha falado, que nem o pessoal falou que eu tirei informação da bunda, tá, mano? Mas eu não tirei. Mentira, eu tirei sim. 6 meses sem jogar New World, você é retirado do servidor. Como ela disse aqui, 180 dias. Você é expulso do servidor, tá? Isso daí é confirmado, 180 dias sem logar, você é expulso do servidor.
users, for the active players. And that frees up some space, that reduces queues. The other thing that we did at that time was once a world is locked, there's an auto unhide. So if there's no availability or reduced availability in a region, we auto unhide another world. One thing that we did very recently was we tested a button that's on the main menu. So if you're in a queue and you don't want to be in that queue anymore, you can now from the main menu, and this is only during times of, high queues, big population coming back, from the main menu, instead of you having to go into the game to transfer, you can do it from the main menu. You can essentially make yourself latent, and you can then transfer to a world that's available.
You do have to go in and get in a queue and then back out so that the system knows you were in a queue.
Yeah.
But once you do that, the main menu
É,
will pop up.
que nem estão falando aqui agora, galera. Quando você um novo sistema atual que foi feito basicamente semana passada, se você entra num servidor com muita fila, você vai ganhar uma transferência grátis e durante a fila você vai ganhar uma transferência grátis. Durante a fila, tá, gente? Se for muito grande, você vai ganhar uma transferência grátis para qualquer outro servidor que você queira com população menor, tá? Mas só durante a fila essa transferência grátis, tá, gente?
When we have this active.
Yeah, and we did a test, and once we...
Que tipo, aí você vai ser jogado para outro servidor e o que servidor não vai estar sem fila, tá, mano? Mas aí, se você quiser voltar futuramente e abaixar a fila, você vai ter de pagar, tá, mano? Essa transferência grátis é só para servidores com muita fila.
are ready to roll out that feature completely, we'll have some FAQs around it so players know how it's used.
Okay, awesome. Well, can we expect a rework to Magnify? The current implementation makes it really bad for split stat builds.
Yes, we hear you. I think this is probably the most noticed question. We're hearing this a lot. I think there are no immediate plans to change Magnify. I think on the positive side, for more casual players, I think Magnify does offer a lot of benefit. It allows you to easily switch between some stats. And if you're not super optimizing, especially if you're not dual statting, it does have a lot of value. Also, like Magnify is one of the opportunities. There's also, you can get more specific gear if you're trying to min-max through the various crafting means and set your specific attributes. So no immediate plans, though we hear you. So we're trying to come up with a solution that still provides some of the benefits to the more general.
Galera, aqui eles estão falando da magnitude, magnifique, que é aquela pontuação que escala conforme maior atributo que você tiver. Eles estão falando que os jogadores que coisa mais a build estão reclamando, tá? Mas que o feedback do pessoal casual tá muito boa sobre ela. Que por enquanto eles não pensam em mudar, mas eles vão pensar em alguma coisa futuramente, tá? Pra melhorar isso. Mas em questão que o pessoal, jogadores casuais, estão achando mais fácil pra trocar o equipamento, mudar essas coisas, então... E também deixa para os jogadores que gostam de simplificar a build no máximo, correr atrás de mais item também, tá? Já que eles querem materializar o máximo possível da build, eles precisam ter os artefatos que usa Magnifique, e eles têm poder de correr atrás de... eles têm que correr atrás de equipamentos para deixar top do qual você quer. Mas tem gente que gosta, tem gente que não gostou. Eu, pra ser sincero, eu acho que tá legal, só que pra mim que eu vou correr atrás de um equipamento diferente, um pouco diferente, eu vou ter um pouquinho mais de dificuldade. Mas isso é porque eu quero, tal. Mas eu acho que Magnifique ficou legal no jogo, eu gostei, pelo menos pros artefatos, tudo ok. Eu só achava que os itens nomeados não precisava disso, tá? Que tem alguns itens nomeados que tem Magnifique também, eu achava que não precisava. Eu achava só os artefatos, tá legal. Mas cada um tem sua opinião, tá?
Also helping out the split stat people. No immediate plans yet, but we're thinking about it.
Can you share any plans for optimization passes?
Right now, we're not ready to share those, but I can tell you that we have a pretty big initiative that we're going to be sharing with you in a few months.
Passe de otimização?
We have...
Que é isso? Espera aí. Otimizar passes? Pera, não entendi.
Any plans for optimization passes?
O que seria o passe de batalha, gente? Ou o jogo mesmo?
Okay. All right,
Alguém manja de inglês, mano?
Well, with new dungeons, time and time
Eu acho que foi meio eles falou que pode esperar alguma coisa grande nos próximos meses de otimização. Então,
again will it be possible to test if 3 dungeons available on mutations will be viable. Any plans
é no
to
jogo,
add
né?
mutation
Beleza.
perks, mixed elemental?
So we have some good news here. I think if you've seen the roadmap, we have cross-world expeditions coming. And I think once we have that, we're going to have the larger population pool. And I think we're planning on increasing the mutation count to 3 then, so that people can, especially now with artifacts and mutations, you can sort of get to them quicker and enjoy a larger set of mutations.
And we don't currently have plans to adjust the type of mutations, right?
No current plans for that.
Yeah, but that is something that we're continuously looking at to see what opportunities there are and then what actually fits in our development pipelines.
Can we get
que nem aqui, eles acabaram de falar se eles pretendem aumentar o número de mutações, porque hoje em dia só tem 2 mutações por semana, pra 3. O Estivado, obrigado pelo subzão, mano, aquele beijão. Digita ticket pra participar do sorteio de 5 passes de batalha aí. Então, se eles têm pra mudar pra 3 mutação antes de 2. Eles falaram com a chegada agora do Cross-Realm de Dungeon, eles vão investigar e pretendem aumentar pra 3 dungeons semanal, tá? Porque Cross-Realm, pra quem não sabe, é você abrir uma dungeon no mundo A, o pessoal do mundo B consegue entrar na dungeon do mundo A também, tá?
a caster weapon that shoots bees? Thanks, I like bees.
Jonah, podemos conseguir uma arma tirar a abelha?
Camera in our office because like we've been talking about this feature for so long. It's like it's literally at the top of our feature list. Kidding, of course. No immediate plans. Sorry. The bee shooter, while it sounds fun, we do have the beekeeper.
I know, beekeeper is your favorite gear.
I was gonna
But a
mention.
beekeeper would shoot smoke out or some kind of foggy thing and not bees out of their gun.
Well, it's a turnip.
Think about the bees.
Azoth,
The
you can
bees
do
don't want to
whatever.
be shot out of a gun. That's horrible. Have some.
You talk to the bees?
Have some heart. Care about our little animals, our little insects.
When bees die, do they repopulate on the island?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like
There
anything
aren't
else?
any bees. Well, there's some bees, but
I mean, there's the bees.
There's honey. There's gotta be bees.
Yeah, I don't want to put
that's
them to a
true.
miserable
There are
death.
the little beehives, that's true. That you gotta smoke.
Okay, I think we're good on this. Let's move forward. What happens if artifact drops in a bag and you are unable to pick it up? Because I have been farming Pugnacious Purutu for 40 hours now, and I cannot get Life Taker. I believe it may be bugged.
So the way that it works is if it drops and you don't pick it up, it doesn't count against your loot limit. So you'll still be able to farm it and find it. However, there is a bug right now. So if that happened, if it dropped and then you had a crash, then it did count against it. So that's something that we are currently working on. We'll have a fix out as soon as we can, but that's the only situation in which it would count against your loot limit.
Aqui tá contando se você dropa o item. Provavelmente já deve ter consertado isso, mas no primeiros dias, você dropava o artefato e você caísse ou fechasse o jogo sem pegar o artefato do chão, não tava contando, mano. No primeiro coisa, mas provavelmente isso já foi consertado agora, no termos de drop.
Well, what will you do to address the missing 20 free Battle Pass levels, Fast Pass, for people who have maxed the Battle Pass?
Yeah, so at the time of this filming, that has been, those 20 levels that folks lost have already been provided back to them. If you were already at a high level and you weren't able to benefit from those passes that you purchased, you're going to get another box, essentially, that you'll use next season. And I think it's going to be called like Season 4, something that's very clear. It'll show up in that compensation area of the game menu, and that will have your 20 levels in it. So you'll get to use it for the next season.
Okay, awesome. Are there any plans to add more gear set slots?
Right now there aren't. We recently removed Banes and Wards, and that created a scenario where we think you're going to need a lot less slots, and we didn't want to start messing
Aqui tá
around with
perguntando
that,
se vai
so we
ter
saw some data and watched what the players were saying.
mais
We'll look at it again in a few months.
slot de
Right now,
preset, por enquanto não há planos.
When can we expect fixes for named items which are unupgradable in Kiln?
They should be in our next patch, which is tentative.
Ué, travou? Travou o PC? Porra é essa? Oxe! Travou o PC? Voltou? Não. Vocês estão me vendo? Putz, eu não consigo nem olhar o PC. Eita. Travou o PC, mano.